I'm Sister Marcia Freidinger, currently on the leadership team for the Sisters of the Holy Names of Jesus and Mary, who sponsor Holy Names University, and former chairperson of the Department of Business here at Holy Names University as of last December. It is indeed a great honor to introduce our speaker today, Sister Helen Prejean, a sister of the Congregation of St. Joseph. If higher education is intended to cause us to examine our assumptions and challenge our long-held ideas, then today's speaker is a good fit for our commencement. Sister Helen's work has caused many to re-examine issues they might prefer to ignore. A native of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Sister Helen taught religious education for a number of years. Then she was asked to accompany a convicted prisoner and be his spiritual advisor as he faced the death penalty. In the process, her eyes were opened to the execution process in Louisiana. She described her personal journey in her compelling book, Dead Men Walking. Some of you may have seen the film version of her book, starring Susan Sarandon and Sean Penn. In the year 2000, the San Francisco Opera premiered an opera based on the same events. A theatrical version has been performed in many locations, including Holy Names University in 2006. Having accompanied 6 men to their deaths, Sister Helen continues to educate the public about the challenges and contradictions of the death penalty. In addition to serving as chairperson for the National Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty, she is the honorary chairperson of the Moratorium Campaign, a group gathering signatures for a worldwide moratorium on the death penalty. She is also a founder of Survive, a victims advocacy group. Sister Helen's second book, The Death of Innocents, an eyewitness account of wrongful executions, was published in December 2004. Sister Helen is not a stranger to Holy Names University, having taught our graduate students in the Sophia Center for Culture and Spirituality several times. She embodies the commitment of Catholic sisters to minister to the marginalized and to present the loving face of God, even to those most spurned in society. It is a privilege to present Sister Helen Prejean, a religious woman, a Southern storyteller, a woman dedicated to making us reflect on our assumptions and work for a world more just for all. Sister Helen.
Y'all can just relax, because I know this is graduation, and I know these little eagles are poised on that branch ready for flight, and I know how to do these commencement things. 12 minutes and we out of here. We are talking about fire. We're talking about catching on fire. And those of us who come out of the Christian tradition, which I'm keenly aware of because 3 days ago, I was on a stage with the Dalai Lama from Tibet and with Vincent Harding, the one who was a consultant to Eyes on the Prize, the one who helped Martin Luther King construct his speech when he stood up before the nation to call for an end to the war in Vietnam. An African-American man who knew that it was more than just about civil rights of African-American people, but about moving for freedom and democracy for all people, that everybody's got a chance for the great American dream. And to see you today, standing on the shoulders of our good sisters, the sisters of the holy names of Jesus and Mary, we are talking about fire. Spirituality is about fire. Spirituality is about passion. And this blessed little university that knows about connecting with everything. That if we don't care for the people and if we don't care for the earth, how are we going to even improve anything if we don't have a decent planet to live on? It's all connected. It's all unified. It's all one. So, 3 stories about catching on fire. First one, my friend Susan Sarandon. Now maybe y'all have heard about the movie Dead Man Walking. Just heard about the introduction. There was a movie and Susan Sarandon got the Academy Awards. I was at the Academy Awards. Whoopi Goldberg was the MC that night for the Academy Award. And 1.3 million people are watching as they hear about this movie, Dead Man Walking. Susan Sarandon was the one who made the film happen because she had a passion and she knew all the movies that were out there about the death penalty, the way they went was, did you do the crime? Oh yeah, well maybe did, maybe did. Oh yeah, he did the crime. There you go. Okay, execution, end of story. Justice is done, right? She reads the book. She calls me on the phone. I didn't even know what the lady looked like. I knew she was good for human rights because I heard she belonged to Amnesty International, which is a good start. But I didn't know what she looked like. And she calls me on the phone and said, we need to have a film of your book because it brings people deeper into the journey onto both sides of the issue, the suffering of the victim's family, but also is execution of human beings the answer. California, you've got 700 human beings sitting on death row here. You're pumping billions and billions of dollars into the state killing people. So I met her at a restaurant. We talked about doing the film. I had to rent it down and we see what she looked like. I did mix her up with Jada Davis on her divorce. She walks in the restaurant. I said, thank you, Jesus. She's Louise. Jada Davis. And it takes her 9 months to get Tim Robbins to buckle down, focus, to do the screenplay, and he does. And all the Hollywood studios turn it down. Who would think a movie about a nun and a death row inmate on the death penalty of all issues could ever be a box office success? And so they're saying to him, Tim, I tell you what, you know, we got like no romantic element in it because you got like the nun, but now, it's like you let us like spice it up between the nun and the death row inmate. And here's the fire, here's passion. Tim goes, it's not about spicing it up between the nun and the death row inmate. This is a journey into redemption and compassion for everybody. So the night of the Academy Awards, for us as Christians, as Catholics, it was a feast of the Annunciation. And I mean, it was the Annunciation. And Dead Man Walking was given over the world. We do our little part. We have our little pen light. God doesn't give us this big searchlight to see what the end of the road. Hey, get involved death row inmates. You're going to write a book. They're going to do a movie, opera, and a play. First principle of spiritual life. We do what we do because it is the right thing to do, for its own integrity. Not to seek the fruits. Do it for its own sake. So now just in a little nutshell, my little story of catching on fire. I didn't always get it about Jesus and social justice and being involved with poor people. That was the mystery. When the debate was going on in our community, what were we doing as nuns and what about all the poor people? I lived in the suburbs of New Orleans. We had 10 major housing projects in New Orleans, and I hadn't been to any of them. The only way I knew African-American people growing up in Baton Rouge, my daddy was a successful lawyer, was as our servants. I didn't know African-American people as peers, as real people, and I'd never go in those inner city housing projects. Those are the people you saw in the 10 o'clock news. You know, handcuffed and being let off into the police. But the waking up is everything. And you're going to keep on waking up. It's the story of our lives to keep on waking up. Buddhists, good Buddhists, wisdom, always have a beginner's mind. Everybody we meet, what can I learn from this person? Why am I in this situation? What am I meant to learn here? I woke up. I moved into the St. Thomas housing projects, and I learned from African-American people who taught me about the other America. When you don't have a rich, white daddy lawyer who's going to go to bat for you, what it's like and what it's like in the public schools where you reach your junior in high school and you can't read a third grade reader. And my heart caught on fire because I saw the suffering of people. I saw what racism does. I saw what injustice does. And you can't just walk away. And it's while I was there that one day, coming out of the Adult Learning Center, Hope House, somebody from the Louisiana Prison Coalition office coming down the street, got a little clipboard, got a little project going, always had a little project going, and meets me and says, "Hey, Sister Helen, you want to be a pen pal of somebody on death row here in Louisiana?" I said, "Sure." I didn't know they were going to kill this person. I said, "I'm an English major. I could write some nice letters. I'll maybe send you some poems and all." That name on that little white piece of paper, I wish I'd kept it, was Patrick Saunier, 90455, Death Row, Louisiana. I write the letter, he writes back, and 2.5 years later, I am there when the state of Louisiana kills him with fire, electrocutes him in front of my eyes. He, by then, 2 years relationship, and he is saying to me, "Sister, you can't be there at the end, because it could scar you to see this. You just pray God holds up my legs when I make that last walk." But I was there. I said, "No, Patrick, I don't know what it's going to do to me. But you look at my face, and I'll be the face of Christ for you." I walked out of there, changed forever. Now what's the other side? The other side of this story, of this agony, is that 2 innocent teenage kids were killed at his hands one November night. I was just on the phone with the family, the Lloyd LeBlanc and Eula LeBlanc family. David LeBlanc was one of the kids killed by Patrick and his brother on a November night in Louisiana. Kids, in the most horrible way, coming from a football game, every parent's nightmare. They tell their kids goodbye, be sure you're home by such and such a time, and they never see their kids alive again. And I am with the people as spiritual advisor who kill these people's kids. It puts you on a stretches you. Because I feel a kind of guilt when I found out what the crime was. Oh my goodness, what am I doing with these people who did this terrible crime? And what's happening to this family? Now, it's something in this country because we have that what we're going to do for the family finally is, in a very select few, what we're going to do for them is we're going to tell them, wait now, 15, and here in California, wait about 20 years, and we're going to call you, and you're going to get to sit on the front row, and you're going to get to watch as we kill the one who killed your loved one. But just as being in the presence of the Dalai Lama just a few days ago, this is the most crystallized, violent solution we have, if you want to look at it. It means we're going to kill the one who killed your loved one. That's going to be justice for you. And you wait and you watch, and that's going to heal you, and that's going to give you closure, and that's going to give you justice. And I meet this family, the LeBlanc family, whose son David, their only son, had been killed. And Lloyd LeBlanc, you read Dead Man Walking, he's the hero of the book. I'm not the hero. I did it all wrong. I didn't reach out to the victims' families when I should have, right from the beginning. And by the time I did meet them, the other family was so angry at me because I hadn't reached out. But Lloyd LeBlanc was gracious and good, and he just said, "Sister, you can't believe the pressure on me to be for the death penalty." And he said, "That's not really who I am. I'm a kind person. I love to help people." And here it is. Here's the transformative fire right here. Because he says to me, "I tried to go there." I said, "They're right. They killed our son." Our family name died when they killed David. I almost lost my life. I tried to go there. I said, "Yeah, they're right. I want to see him die. I want to be the one to pull the switch." And he said, "I didn't like the way I felt." I began to have like this bitterness in me. This hatred. I don't care about their mom. I don't care about the suffering. They deserve to die. Then he said, "They killed our son, but I'm not going to let them kill me. I'm going to choose and go the way that Jesus taught us to go, which is one of love and not letting love be overcome of hatred." And this is embodied in real people in this country who have gone there and who show us the way. Last little story about passion. It takes a while sometimes to catch on fire. You know, you got to pass the courses. You gotta get your credits. Y'all got your little diplomas, you have a great party. And then tomorrow morning you're gonna wake up and your life begins, okay? So to catch the fire, short story. Not too promising, the young man and the family kind of drifting around, was not sure what he was going to do with his life. He had a little rich uncle who said, send the boy to law school. You know, kind of drifting around, be a lawyer, make some good money. Kid goes to law school, comes out still kind of drifting around. In fact, he has his first case, and when he goes up to stand up to defend his client, he is so inept, so unsure, he can't speak in the courtroom. You ever saw My Cousin Vinny, that movie? It's worse than My Cousin Vinny. Because the poor client looks up, it's his turn to speak for him, and he cannot speak, and he's laughed out of the courtroom. So nobody's coming to his door for cases, but then finally a man does come. He said, you gotta help me. He said, why are you coming to me? He said, because you went to law school, you know how to research this, look what happened to me. And he was poor, he couldn't give him any money, or very little. But he saw the issue that this man was wronged. So then he caught on fire. Then he walked in the courtroom, stood up, and he won the case. Small amount of money, big principle of justice. And I am describing to you right now Mahatma Gandhi. It was his beginning. We all start small and not sure of our way. My prayer for you, blessing for you, is that may you catch on fire. You don't just catch on fire once, the fire goes out. And we have to have a way of constantly blowing on the coals to spark up the fire again. And that is our spirituality. That is our way of digging deep into our spiritual tradition. And the other is to connect with community. Those two things, and a way of blowing on the coals when it's going to get tough and you're going to lose your way. And you just feel the spark going out of you. Maybe it's a job you thought you were going to get you there 2 months, and you go, this sucks, man. It's terrible. I'm just like a little gopher going around here. I mean, this is nothing but bureaucracy. All I'm doing is shuffling these papers. This isn't what I had my great American dream. So what are you going to do about it? The spirituality in which we pray, we contemplate, we meditate, and we connect with community. We cannot make it alone. So God bless you. God bless all the mamas and daddies and grandmas and grandpas that are seeing us to this day. We always do it on the shoulders of those who love us. Thank you. And I'm proud to be part of it.